Hey there, boils and ghouls. It's your friend Tats. I'm back with a different video. I just wanted to try something a little bit different, and I don't know. I see other people doing it, and I just wanted to take a shot at it myself, and just wanted to try something a little different, a little bit fun. So I thought I'd make a video. And what I want to do is, in the spirit of Halloween, I know I should be doing this with the Halloween movies, but um, yeah, I just gotta trying to rank all the movies in the Halloween franchise. That's going to take me a little bit. So, and right now I'm kind of starting off with some of the easier franchises, at least easier for me to rank them. So today I'm going to rank the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'm going to rank the ones. Now, this is not going to be a definitive list. It's just only my personal opinion. But I'd like to rank the ones that, from like worst to best. And like I said, just for the fun of it, this is just only my opinion. And you want to in the comments below, you can list your favorites, which one you think is the worst, which one you think is the best. But this is just only my personal. So I know I keep saying that, but so yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get going. So like I said, this is going to be from worst all the way to the best. So the worst starting off is definitely the remake. Um, Now, a couple of my friends over on the Body Bags channel, Glenn and Jason, Glenn from BDG Reviews and Jason from Horrific Nightmares. Now, I know I think they have a show called Positive Spin where, they take movies that are widely regarded as hated and they try to help find the silver lining in the movies, you know, and why they like these movies that, usually everybody hates. And, but just, yeah, just I think the main reason why I didn't like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is just when you listen to the interviews and all that other kind of stuff, it was clear that the people who made the movie, they had no love for the franchise, they had no love for the original film or anything like that. Just they could not care less about it. To them, it was nothing more than just a paycheck. It was just a gig to lead to better gigs and just kind of the one thing I think is funny though is like the one thing that I thought I would absolutely hate the most about that movie is Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy Krueger. Then come to find out, actually no, Jackie Earl Haley, in my opinion, he's the best thing about that movie. Mainly because when you listen in interviews and things like that, he seems like he's the only one who cared. He was the only one who really liked to try to put in effort to try to make a good movie and try to give Freddy Krueger fans what they wanted. And it just seemed like, I mean, like you hear interviews with Rooney Mara and some of the other people, and they were just like, they had no love for the material. They didn't want to do it. They hated it. All this other, and you could tell in the movie, you could tell in their quote unquote performances and things like that. You could tell they just had no love for it and everything, and it's just one of those movies. I mean, like if I ever come across it, like if it was ever on TV or something like that, it's kind of like okay, I am a little bit mesmerized watching the way Jackie Earl Haley does Freddy Krueger, even though it does just kind of seem more like somebody trying to do an impression. But I mean, at least he's trying. You could tell he's putting the work into it. He is trying to give a good Freddy Krueger, and I do like the little scissor thing that he does with the knives and everything. I thought that was kind of a cool little thing that he added to it. But just overall, just yeah, I just oh god, just yeah. To me, the remake is still the worst. It's a movie that really I just that's kind of usually how I kind of judge for me the best to the worst. It's like it depends on replay value. It depends on how often am I in the mood to ever watch this movie in this franchise. And with the remake, I'm never in the mood to watch it. Never ever. So yeah. So for me, that's going to be the worst. Moving on, the next we're going to do is going to be part six, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. That is just another movie to me. It just really doesn't have much replay value. It has some elements in it that I like, but it's just to me the movie is just too over the top. It's too cartoony. It's too silly. It just seems like there's nothing in it that's really even scary. It's just more. It plays much more like a comedy and stuff, and I just don't really have any. There's just nothing to make me want to watch it, and just the whole kind of futuristic thing, and this whole thing about she's Freddy's daughter and all this, and the whole dream demon thing. It just I'm sorry, just just for me personally, I'm not putting down anybody who likes you know Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare. If you like it, that's great. I just personally, uh, I just couldn't get any enjoyment out of it. I just had no fun watching it. So for me, that's it. Now the next one up is part five, The Dream Child. That's another one that it has elements to it that I like, but just in terms of rewatch value, it's one of the Elm Street movies I watched the least. Um, After the remake and new Freddy's Dead. Let's see, yeah, after Freddy's Dead. So yeah, just part five, The Dream Child is just it wasn't really just the best in the franchise, and it just it's the story is just kind of ho hum to me. I mean, the one constant throughout the whole series is Robert Englund. He always delivers, but it's just I feel kind of like in a movie like that, he's kind of really the main reason you're watching it for. I mean, Lisa Wilcox and as Alice, she does a great job, and she was a great heroine for parts four and five. Um, it had Kelly Jo Minter in it. I've always liked her. I wish she could have gone on to do. She was somebody. Like you see her in a number of the '80s movies going into the '90s, and she was in movies like Summer School and Wes Craven's New Nightmare and or not Wes Craven's. Jesus Christ. No, she wasn't in Wes Craven. She was in Wes Craven's People Under the Stairs. She was in a number of movies and this one too, and I've always liked her, and I wish I could have seen her in more movies, but yeah, just in terms of just the replay value, the Dream Child, it's just not really high up there on my list of the ones that I watch very often, so I guess I'd have to probably put it there. So next up, we're gonna move to Freddy's, Friday the third. I could talk. I swear to God, I'm not on drugs. I swear. We're gonna do Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two, Freddy's Revenge, and this one here, or as they affectionately call it, the gay one. But anyway, honestly, yeah, I don't. It's not a Nightmare on Elm Street that I sequel that I watch too often, but every once in a while I do. It is higher up on the list. I do get in the mood to watch it from time to time, and there are elements to it that I do like. And I thought that the idea of Freddy trying to possess somebody to go and kill for him, I thought that was an interesting concept, and I did like it. Um, some of the execution could have been done a little bit better, but you know, it was fun to see. Robert Englund was still menacing, and I thought the pool party massacre at the end of the movie was really cool, and some of the effects were really fun, like the scene where Jesse is being taken over, and Freddy's coming out and he's gonna kill Grady, and I thought that was a really good, well done scene, and Robert Englund. This was before Freddy started cracking a lot of jokes, and Robert Englund was still pretty threatening, pretty intimidating as Freddy, and so yeah, I just overall I do like that movie. It's not one I watch too often, but every once in a while I do get in the mood for Freddy's Revenge. I do decide every now and then I do want to watch that one. So yeah, so that's gonna be that one. So let's see. Next up is going to be, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go ahead and throw in Freddy versus Jason here. Um, every once in a while I do get in the mood for it. Freddy versus Jason, the movie is a mess in some ways, and it does have some problems with it, but overall I do find it entertaining. I find it fun to watch. Yeah, kind of the criticisms. That's the thing. It's a little bit higher up on my Freddy list, but probably when I do a Friday the 13th, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be not so. It's not going to be so high on my Jason list, but on my Freddy list, it's a little bit more high up there because the Freddy element to me seems like that was handled pretty well for the most part. It's kind of the Jason part where it seems like they kind of really botched a lot of it. The whole Freddy Krueger thing, from everything from Freddy's point of view in that movie, seems like it was done incredibly well. And Robert Englund still delivers. Every time he was on screen, you loved watching him, and he was Freddy, and it was like it never seemed like it ever broke from his mythology or anything like that. But yeah, so I mean, just ultimately, I do kind of think like, yeah, I mean, it is pretty high on my Freddy list, but yeah, it's not going to be so high on my Jason list. But anyway, but yeah, we'll talk about the whole Jason aspect of it whenever I get around to doing my Friday the 13th ranking. But yeah, so we'll do that one. So there you go. And so next one up after that, we're gonna go with um, part four, The Dream Master. Um, Definitely one of my favorite sequels. Of course, the whole dog peeing fire resurrecting Freddy, that was pretty funny if you think about it. But other than that, let's see. Yeah, it had a lot of good stuff to it. I did like the character of Alice, her being kind of this girl who's kind of she's kind of like she's very shy. She doesn't have a lot of confidence in herself. All this kind of stuff. But she emerges as she gains strength through her brother, her friends, and having to deal with Freddy and everything else. And she ultimately, um, you know, she loves her brother, she loves her friends, and everything else, and she's able to take that love with her and use that to, to help defeat Freddy and everything, and made her for a very interesting female hero character. And I liked it, and a lot of the imagination and everything that they put into it. The cockroach scene, that was cool. The effects were amazing in there. Um, just like what else was there? Like the brother, he was like into like martial arts fighting and everything else, and so that whole fun kind of dream sequence of him fighting Freddy with martial arts. Like a lot of it was fun. There was a lot of good imagination into it and everything else, and it was just an overall entertaining and fun entry in the series. Not the scariest, but definitely one of the more interesting ones. And the idea that by the end of part three, you ended up having Kincaid and Joey and Kristen. They were the last of the Elm Street children, but like that was kind of an interesting idea that by pulling Alice in, and therefore Alice ends up pulling in her friends and her brother and everybody else, that ends up bringing in more victims for Freddy. So it's like even after the last of the Elm Street children will be gone, that's not going to stop Freddy. He's just going to keep going. So so yeah, so I would definitely have to say, yeah, that's pretty much up there on my list. Next up is going to be Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This one is definitely very high on my rating. I think it's a very well done story. I mean, I know the look is, it's supposed to be different because it's not supposed to be exactly Freddy. It's supposed to be this evil entity that is basically masquerading around as Freddy. So I get that part of it, and I just thought that was fun to do. And Wes Craven, I thought he took a fresh and interesting approach to to the series. He was going to try to breathe some new life into it and everything else. And it's too bad they didn't really go on with that. And there have been ideas and stories. The idea that Robert Englund could possibly come back and play Freddy, but Freddy would kind of like turn into other things. It's like because Freddy could take the shape of things that people are afraid of, or things like that. And so it's like you could have him there, but but then it doesn't. Oh, he doesn't always have to be Freddy. He could like turn into other things. And stuff like that. There have been story. They've been tossing around story ideas like that. I think that Robert Englund himself said he'd even been working on a story with something kind of like that for an idea. And yeah, just I really like the idea that Wes tried to take it in a different direction, tried to make something new out of it. Um, you know, and the movie is very meta. It's very well. It's a very intellectual film. It's very well made. But you do get some fun action. You do get some creepy moments. You get Heather Langenkamp to come back as she's playing herself, but kind of like playing herself slash playing Nancy at the same time. So yeah, I really like that angle. But it was just really nice to see Heather Langenkamp come back, and Miko Hughes from Pet Cemetery playing her son. That was cool. Um, that was pretty brave though of Heather Langenkamp letting Wes write in this kind of story of, her character being kind of stalked by a psycho and everything, which I believe Heather Langenkamp in real life was being harassed by a stalker and things like that. So it's kind of brave that she let him put that into the story and everything. But yeah, just everything about it works, and I just really like that movie, and it definitely has a lot of rewatch value for me. And even though I know a couple of things are just kind of like throwing back to the original movie and everything else, but yeah, so I would have to say that's probably about it. So, anyway, so next up would be, yeah, we're down to the final two. So, the next one up would be Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. This is another one. I mean, I know that, like Wes Craven, wrote a really ambitious script, and then, it got into the hands of other writers, and even Chuck Russell, who ended up directing the movie, and even Frank Darabont, Frank Darabont, who The Mist, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, The Walking Dead. That's the only bad part, though, is unfortunately we don't get any new, movies directed by Frank Darabont or anything else because he's too busy right now fighting on all these lawsuits about Walking Dead. So sadly, because of all that, we haven't gotten any really new, really good Frank Darabont movies. But anyway, so yeah, they kind of came in, and from what I understood though, is like the original was the script was really kind of big and epic in scope, and it was going to be really, really something. But of course, they had to scale it down and everything else, and but there was supposed to be this kind of really, really interesting story that Wes had for it. But even still, what we got is pretty good. Um, Heather coming back to play Nancy to fight Freddy. That was really cool. You had a really good cast of characters. You had Patricia Arquette as Kristen. You had Jennifer Rubin. You had Ken Sagos. You had Rodney Eastman. Oh man, Craig Wasson. It's like so Priscilla Pointer. Yeah, a really good cast. Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne was in there. And the movie is just really, really memorable, and a lot of the scenes are memorable. Of course, one of the most infamous scenes in the whole movie is, here's your, this is it, Jennifer, your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Smashes her head into the TV. There's a lot of very quotable lines in this movie. So many, it's like. What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue-tied? And this is where Freddy started to pick up a sense of humor. The first two movies, he was just pretty much playing it dead serious. But, yeah, by the time he got around to this one, man, he was pretty much, yeah, he's starting to crack jokes and everything else. Um, but he had some really, really interesting, some good one-liners in this. It's like, sorry, kid, I don't believe in fairy tales. Ooh, what a rush, things like that, so, and, yeah, and just the special effects were really, really good. There was a lot of imagination into it. Like I said, I think it was supposed to be. It was a lot bigger in scope, but unfortunately they had to scale it down, so that was sad. But oh well, it is what it is. And yeah, so so Dream Warriors would definitely be my number two. Right behind the number one, but the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Who couldn't have seen that coming, right? The original Nightmare on Elm Street, I think it's a brilliant film. I know I've seen people do reactions to it here lately, and a lot of people think it's kind of silly. And, I've heard people, I think it was Awkward Ashley. She did a reaction video where she said that Heather Langenkamp was a terrible actress, which I do not agree with that at all. I think Heather Langenkamp did a phenomenal job. I think she was fantastic in it. Robert Englund was really, really good. He was just perfection as he was throughout the whole series. This was the movie that introduced us to Johnny Depp, and I'm a Johnny Depp fan. I'm still a Johnny Depp fan, just everything about this movie. It was so genuinely scary, and at the time, even though it wasn't the first horror movie to deal with dreams and stuff, it's like it was the one that just kind of really, really got to people, and just really, really got to people's heads. And just a quick story, it's like I remember this was back in the days of rental stores and everything. I remember, like, I went to school that morning, so this was '84, so I was about 7 years old at the time. So I went to school, and then the end of the day came. I was getting out of school. My mother was sitting in the car. She came to pick me up from school, sitting in the car. She was literally shaking, and the color was completely gone out of her face. And I asked, I was scared. I said, Mom, what's wrong? And she told me about this movie she watched, Nightmare on Elm Street. And she talked about it scared her so bad that she couldn't even stand to be in the house. She said she watched the movie. It was her day off from work. She went down, she rented some movies. She rented this movie and she sat there and watched it. And the movie scared her so bad she couldn't even be in the house by herself. She had to leave. She had to go to my grandfather's house and stay with him because she could feel safe until it was come time to come pick us up from school and everything. So, and just that movie has such a power. It's still scary to this day, and a lot of the scares still work in that movie, and it holds up. And all the performances in it are amazing. Everybody does a great job. Wes wrote a really good story. Nancy Thompson is a great female character, and it's just good writing and everything else. So yeah, so that would be it. So yeah, we're going number one through on. Okay, so number one, the worst, is the remake. Number two is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Number three is 5, The Dream Child. Number 4 is 2, Freddy's Revenge. Number 5 is Freddy vs. Jason. Number 6 is part 4, The Dream Master. Part 7 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Number 8 is part 3, The Dream Warriors, and the last one is the original 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, so that's it. So I just thought I'd give this a try, see if it'd be fun. So anyway, so that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, I plan to try to make more. And that's it. So everybody, take care, and I'll be back with another video. Bye.